Good evening. Thank you so much for watching UBC TV Inspiring Uganda. My name is Sharon Kyomugisha with Mugalu Mohammed on Sign Language. Welcome to UBC News Tonight. We'll take a look at our top stories of the day.
Brought to you by
How to get points. Just use MTN to make calls, send SMS, load airtime, buy bundles, or pay for MTN subscription services.
Everywhere you go, MTN.
Our top stories of the day inside the madrasa schools, the religious schools known for terrorism. Sheikh Mohammed Burhan can't be traced. Family calls for government intervention. In more stories to come, COVID-19 and HIV double jeopardy, a tale of how HIV patients got off treatment in Uganda. And in our sports, US National Swimming Championship, John Kafumbe steals show on day one.
Was brought to you by Everywhere you go, MTN.
In our top stories of the day, the Islamic religious schools known as madrasa have been interest to policy makers globally. In this report, our UBC reporter Harun Amtesasira provides an overview of madrasa, their role in promoting Islam among children in the Muslim communities.
In September this year, police raided the Marcus Ibn Hajalai School in Namalegazoni, Bombo Town in Ruero District, where they found 50 children and arrested the director of the school, Sheikh Uthman Yassin Soboga. Marcus Ibn Hajalai School is one of the madrasa for orphans in Bombo, which security thought was a training cell for bad tendencies. Former Minister and Vice Chairperson, Uganda Muslim Supreme Council Al-Hajj Abdul Naduli says there is a campaign against Islam which is politically motivated.
Is not it from me. Don't simply predict. Whoever Muslim you see, you come across. Whoever Muslim you see, you come across with bears, that tends to be a mutuju, a killer. No. And it could be better to first investigate thoroughly well. So before you arrest, internally I see you as if your saboteurs within the government of Jorim.
Nadri holds the view that the madrasa simply means Islamic religious schools at the primary level.
Hills and the missionaries be united and pass over our madrasa syllabus so that that syllabus may really be spread all over the schools of Islam in Uganda. That will be the remedy of arresting people and really so doubting us as always dangerous people.
Terrorist has no place in Islam. Islam has no anything about terrorism.
Luweru District Kaz Sheikh Ramadan Mrindwa says madrasa teach secular subjects and also offer religious-based curriculum focusing on the Quran and Islamic texts.
The meaning of madrasa, it means a place where students go to learn. Generally, the word madrasa means a school. Be it a place where people they go to learn, be it at the private school or a government school, it is called madrasa. Any form of school, it is called madrasa. So we call upon our government that as Muslims we have a syllabus which is monitored and followed by the Muslims of Uganda. That syllabus is organized by the Uganda Muslim Supreme Council.
Some madrasa are supported by private donations from Muslim believers through a process of alms giving, known in Arabic as zakat. After the twin bombing in Kampala, security had expressed concern over the spread of radical Islam through schools and mosques, which Muslims deny. Others maintain that reforms should be institutionalized primarily within Islamic madrasas in order to ensure a well-rounded curriculum. Haruna Mtesaasira, UBC News.
On Sunday, 21st November this year, a team of security gun-wielding men arrested Sheikh Mohammed Burhan Semwanga, the Imam of Lusenke Mosque in Woblenzi Town Council. Since then, family members have looked for him in police cells in vain. Now they demand for the immediate release of the Imam from government. Haruna Mtesaasira has this report.
This is an account of Sheikh Burhan Saintogo, a resident of Kituntu Kasangombe in Nakaseke district, the father of the detained Imam of Lusenke Mosque in Woblenzi Town Council. Sheikh Burhan says his son was arrested allegedly over wrong information into the role of ADF in multiple bomb blasts that happened in Kampala city last week.
Drone yajja mu bwangu obw'ekitalo amajere gatwetooloola nayimirira we bali netandika banyonyola ne banyonyola abaana bange batalina buzibu bwonna ne baganda okukiwuliriza ne bagaa tutwala ono ne mbuuza ensonga saagimanya ne mbuuza ekimutwaziza saakitegeera ne ngezaako kubanyonyola byonna buli kye nabanyonyola nga kiyamba. Muhammad Semwanga nze mpanga lya Kituntu nze kitaawe we yazaalirwa waakulidde asomedde mu bitundu ebyo n'akula ali kati w'obulenzi Lusenke waava najja n'alima.
Sheikh Mohammed Burhan Semwanga was the Imam of the Lusenke Mosque in Woblenzi Town Council and a teacher at Lugo Orphanage at Lukomera in Katikamu Sub-County and Rashid Ibn Warid Islamic Primary School in Woblenzi Town Council.
Kireka jogja kumusingana sore jja kumusingana kireka tumutute kireka jojo munonyeza kumande nakeera ne tugenda ekireka ne ntuukayo ne bangamba tebamulina ne bakakasanze wano bangambye okujja ne bangamba tetumuyina. Okuva olwo okutuuka olwaleero Muhammad Semwanga tetumanyi we yaggalirwa, tetumanyi waali, siddangayo mulabako wadde omuwuliza.
The family explained that they don't know his whereabouts after visiting Special Investigations Unit at Kireka, but in vain the Imam was not in their custody.
Je babuuze ebifa ku Muhammad nga babuuza bonna kubanga omuntu ayinza okuntulya nga nnyonnyola naga nti nze kuba kitaawe Muhammad yaani awangala atya bazuule nti yakwatibwa nga talina nsonga yonna emukwasa ntuufu. Tuli bubi Oweekitiibwa Pulezidenti tuddiremu tetulina kye twalya tetulina kye twazza.
They have appealed to General Salem Saleh and General Katumba Amala for the immediate release of their son.
Kima kwange kwe nakola kwonna mu nsiko kwonna President Museveni yampa medeni ye kenyini yaginkwasa yo Oweekitiibwa Pulezidenti General Salim Saleh afande General Katumba Wamala nga munkoledde ekisoboka kyonna omwana wange nga mumukomezaawo.
Luweero District Card Sheikh Ramadan Mulindwa says in the wake of the arrests of Imam, they have directed all Imams to register.
In the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala teaches us how that a person who commits corruption in the world, it's as if he has killed the entire world. A person who kills one soul, it's as if you have killed the entire mankind. How can that person be a terrorist when he is saying, I am a Muslim? So, as Rural Muslim District, we have come up with an idea that we are going to register all our imams. We are registering all our imams, all our mullahs who teaches in our schools, all the du'ats, the sheikhs who call to Islam, those who do dawah propagation. We call upon them to go to their respective Muslim counties to register with the Muslim county sheikhs so that we have a profile of our imams, of our sheikhs within the office of the district card.
In his address to the nation, President Yoweri Museveni said the country will know the details of their links to the terror activities when they appear in courts of law. Haruna Mtesaasira, UBC News.
Well, we pray that Sheikh Mohammed gets justice and gets to see his son once again. The International Organization for Migration has handed over a patrol rescue boat and assortment of personal protective equipment to the Ministry of Internal Affairs. The function was held at the Ministry of Internal Affairs headquarters in Kampala. Harun Amtesasira with the report.
The equipments were handed over to the ministry by the International Organization for Migrants Uganda Chief of Mission Sanus Savage to the Citizen and Immigration Control.
It is adjourning that IOM and the Ministry of Internal Affairs, especially the DCIC, have worked together for many fruitful years. I'm always honored whenever I have a function at this Ministry of Internal Affairs.
The donation is part of an international organization for migration project funded by the government of Japan aimed at supporting border management.
Able to pay a courtesy visit here and also to make a donation. And until then, until today, I'm still coming here to donate to the Ministry of Internal Affairs.
We appreciate the IOM, this International Organization for Migration, and through them we also appreciate the government and the people of Japan for the assistance that they have given us. They have been our partners in border management. Today they have donated to us a boat which augments the other 2 boats that we already have in the Albertine region.
The donation will strengthen border management to mitigate risks of terrorism from land, water bodies and borders in the context of COVID-19.
And they've also given us PPEs to assist us in our work. We are specifically putting them on the Albertine region because in the other areas, especially Lake Victoria, we still have the UPF and the UPDF, which along with us are doing the monitoring along Lake Victoria.
The assortment worth 408 million Uganda shillings includes a patrol and rescue boat, automatic sanitizer dispensers, infrared thermometers and hand washing, among others. Harun Amtesasira, UBC News.
Moving on from that, people living positively with HIV and AIDS are struggling to nurse the effects of missing and getting off antiretroviral drugs, ARVs, as a result of COVID-19 lockdowns. Now, the situation was worsened by long procedures to access permission by HIV and AIDS patients to travel to their respective health facilities for drugs. Adia Nakuti with a report.
People living positively with HIV and AIDS not only face higher risk of severe illness from COVID-19 infection due to compromised immune systems, they experience challenges of accessing medication, particularly during periods of lockdown, although people who wanted to seek medical attention could be allowed to move after getting permission from relevant authorities. It was a different case for HIV and AIDS positive patients. This meant indirect forced disclosure of one's HIV status.
That people living with HIV, first of all, their right to privacy was bleached. Because when it comes to lockdown, very many people were forced to disclose, to go and get medical care from their facilities, because if I'm to remember very well, people are supposed to go through the LCs, present a letter that I'm positive, then when you go on the road and you find police block, you have to explain to them and also show them that I'm sick. So it was really frustrating and traumatizing, because there are some people who are even still struggling to accept the fact that they're HIV positive and they still have the self-stigma. So when you add self-stigma and then the disclosure, forceful disclosure, it was really so traumatizing and very unfortunate that even some people got more sick because some of them refused to go and disclose, and then they took their time not to take medication.
As a result, many people living positively either missed or got off life support treatment for some time.
During lockdown, it was so unfortunate that the week they announced a lockdown, I was supposed to get my medication the following week. And my drugs were done. And I was very scared. Where am I going to get medication from? There was no transport. I take my medication on Entebbe Road. I'm staying in Kisasi. I cannot walk there. So it was really a challenge. Those people called me, luckily enough, at the health center, and they told me, how can you access? Then I told them, you people, I cannot walk there. I cannot find a way. Then good enough. I thank God that those people tried to connect with some people who are nearer to meet some clinics that are nearer. Then they transferred those drugs to them, and then those people also transferred them to me. But you see all that process. These people, the third party, they didn't know about my status. But now they also do what? They also know. And then when they bring on the village, people are so inquisitive. They want to know what have they bought for her.
Health facilities are not nearer where many people live. A health facility is a distance away from where people live. So it brought a lot of, stigma around the community, because some of us do not want to share our status to any other person. We want to live with it as we, and that is how we can manage it. So it brought a lot of issues around stigma. People stopped taking their treatment because they couldn't go to the RDC. Even to go to the RDC, you had to first go to the chairman. The chairman gives you a letter that is all disclosing.
So those clients who travel to the villages dropped off their drugs. They discontinued treatment. So on returning here, when the viral loads were done, we realized that there was their viral loads were high.
In this case, some patients had their viral load go up, thereby further compromising their immune systems.
I missed for 3 days. Yes, and it really affected me because this body, how it works, and the ARVs, that every time you have to take that medication. When you take that medication, it's that specific time they tell you. That is why they tell people take the medication at the right time. So whenever you take that medication at the right time, that is when the virus has woken up. If you don't take it at the right time, you find that the virus has gotten that space to wake up and produce. But every time you take it at the right time, it doesn't give it any chance to produce or multiply. So definitely my viral load increased because I did not take my medication, and also my immunity weakened.
Our visit to AIDS Information Center paints a picture to the challenges posed by COVID-19 pandemic to the HIV patients and service providers.
So therefore, when we realize that we are now increasing in clients who are not suppressing, it is not a good thing as care providers. So therefore, what I can tell you is that they are not down, but actually because of the high viral load, that automatically means that the immunity is getting low.
Although organizations and health facilities worked in collaboration with the Ministry of Health to ensure that HIV patients are served, others were missed out due to stigma and loss of connection.
So we tried to move around that to make sure that people actually access their treatment with ease. Number one, we have a number of peers. These are people living with HIV who are there to support their peers, called by either expert clients or linkage facilitators just as peers. So there were lots of home deliveries. So what had to be done was link up with the person in need. We had a toll-free helpline that people were calling. Others had their personal phones. So they would call and say, I'm here, I get my medication from this side, and therefore how can I be helped? So the peers helped a lot to deliver.
The COVID-19 pandemic has not only affected the treatment and care for HIV patients, but has accounted for the increase in new infections, especially for the young people.
Young people also are having 3 times higher new infections than the rest of the population. So out of the 38,000 new infections, you'll find that young people about 14,000 new infections, and girls 15 to 24 are 3 times compared to their male counterparts, so they are bearing a higher brand And really because of the factors, because of the inequalities, the income, the poverty issues.
The most affected group is most definitely the females, because from all statistics, I've not seen a year or a month where there have been less new cases of females. Are always higher. If you have 20 cases in the month, I would say maybe 15 are females, the other 5 are males.
Uganda has an estimated 1.4 million people living positively with HIV. I'm Navka Farida and Adiana Kuti.
Well, moving on from that, health workers from the Northern District of Lira have vowed to continue working despite an ongoing sit-down strike by fellow professionals in Kampala District. The Principal Medical Officer for Lira Regional Referral Hospital, Justin Sangada, says protecting and saving life is top on their priority. This, he said, as Prime Minister Robert Nabanja made an impromptu visit to the hospital on Friday morning, pledging government commitment towards their salary enhancement. Henry Okrut with a report.
Impressed by Prime Minister Robert Nabanja's visit to Lira Regional Referral Hospital were both patients and health workers. Other than join their counterparts in Kampala on a sit-down strike, medics here were working. Nabanja was impressed.
So some people who are now in elective politics, they usually know that government is about to do this, and then they position themselves, you go on strike. But thank you for not following those people. The doctors here, in fact, you are my heroes. You have made my day.
Health workers who shared their experience to the Premier vowed to continue saving lives despite the issue of pending salary enhancement.
We have not been part of that strike, and we say government is a listening government, especially the NRM government. It listens to the plight, and the president has been very passionate in all his speeches that my scientists have to be well remunerated.
In fact, he rallied other medical workers behind the idea of honoring President Yoweri Museveni with a doctorate in public health.
As a Prime Minister, we would like to request you to have His Excellency honored as a doctor in public health, because he has done excellently well in the country and in the world. And I think in Africa we are the best.
This was to the welcome of the Prime Minister.
By show of hands, those who want the president to be decorated as a doctor in public health. Those in favor, aye. Those not in favor, say aye. Ayes have it. But I've told them to put it in writing so that they can all sign. And I take the letter to the president. And then these other technical jargon and issues will be handled by the Science Committee and the Minister of Health. It is a welcome idea.
She affirmed government commitment towards meeting health workers' concerns.
As if they are the ones who are forcing government to do what they want to do. But government had already put in place measures, even in the budget, a plan to enhance salaries of doctors next financial year.
This assurance comes barely weeks since health workers laid down their tools, citing poor remuneration. They have since met the head of state, a matter Nabanja says is being handled. Henry Okrut, UBC.
Thank you, Henry Okrut, for that report from Lira Hospital. We'll take a short commercial break and we'll be back with more stories.
It's Freaky Friday from Airtel. Buy or gift. Buy or give.
Get freaky too!
Woohoo! Dial star 149 star 10 hash to load a Freaky Friday bundle for you to enjoy the best offers on voice and data.
To buy a bundle for friends and family, dial star 149 star 10 star 5 hash. Freaky Friday with Airtel. Buy or gift a bundle today. Dial star 149 star 10 hash to get started. Airtel, the smartphone network.
It's the festive season and we love it. And that means it's time to celebrate with GoTV.
Come with me.
So get your GoCoder and GoTV value for 25,000 shillings to watch with the whole family. And if you're feeling extra festive, upgrade to our best package yet, GoTV Super.
Something to look forward to.
Download the My GoTV app for more information.
Super.
We all deserve a super festive season. And with GoTV, there's every reason to love it.
Nkuleetedde MTN Kabode essimu ya smart gy'osobola okwefunira olwo n'ogisasula mpola nkugambye yeno eri eya kabi ate nga tamanyi endala zonna mu katale ejjirako omuggo gwa yintaneti kati ky'oba okola gwenyiga sitiimu 65*5*2 hash okebere oba osobola okwefunira MTN Kabode olumala okebera bw'oti dduka buddusi ku dduuka lya MTN lyonna eri kuli okumpi weefunire MTN Kabode olwo olyoka ogisasule mpola ng'osasula nnusu 15,000 zokka buli wiiki okumala emyezi 6 ng'okozesa MTN Momo weefunire Kabode kati dish.
Everywhere you go, MTN.
Raising voices.
I feel happy when my father spends time with me. I hope all fathers will like my father. I want my father to reach out to all fathers. He knows how important it is to be a good father. I promise to help my father inspire other fathers to change.
In this time of COVID, what is your promise to the children of Uganda? Because a violence-free childhood is everyone's right. Raising voices.
Well, you're still watching UBC News Tonight. Now, in more stories where we have the State Minister for Local Government, Victoria Rusoke, who was ordered for the suspension of Ntungamo District Engineer and Education Officer and other officials on the run involved in the shoddy construction work of Kategaya Memorial Institute. Kai reports.
The presidential pledge to construct a Ria Kategaya Memorial Institute in Utojo Sub-County in Ntungamo District was marred with irregularities and shoddy work. The State Minister for Local Government, Victoria Rusoke, disclosed this during her tour of the facility in Ntungamo District.
Signatories on all payments. All the money is coming to educational institutions pass through the Education Department account, where the DOs is a senior signatory. So you don't tell me that you approve payment of such a big sums without confirming what is on ground. There is no project where there is no monitoring fund to the two officers. Yes, the cow left. He was transferred to Kamwenge, but we shall follow him up because the policy empowers us.
During the on-spot assessment, Victoria Rusoke said Ria Kategaya Memorial Institute was meant to be among the best institutes in the country, but its structures are wanting. According to Rusoke, over $1 billion shillings was offered to construct the institute, but the contractor constructed more toilets than the buildings.
So, my dear brothers and sisters, stop defending defaulters. Please stop, Chairperson Jojo. Stop defending defaulters. I look at you in the face. You are being unfair to this country. If you don't know facts, keep quiet. This man, we are going to go and swear an affidavit and they produce our conversation. I told him to stop interfering with my official work. Now whom are you defending? When he's seeking for assistance. Please, 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 get out of interfering and defending culprits. It has brought you a very bad image to me and has noted you down. And you. Please, please, it is the cow who was pushing them. The cow was very bad. If the cow was very bad, what did you do?
The Chief Administrative Officer Ntongamo Nasamchibi says there was no project plan, thus affecting the project.
They pinpoint negligence, hear that word, negligence, by the ministry engineer, one Aharimpitia Habat, as well as the engineer of Ntongamo district. These two must be suspended.
The design, I mean the physical plan, that the layout of the buildings, that this one put it here, this is a road, flowers are going to be there.
So when it's not there, where does the engineer base?
The resident district commissioner Ntongamo Moses Kaboyo thanked President Museveni for intervening in the matter and advocated for more action to bring the culprits to book.
In this regard, I want to assure the community that when I also saw this project, when I came here to inspect, I really bled. And it was unfortunate, and I told the people that you people, what was done here, everybody should be prepared for what or she could have done.
Area Kategaya Memorial Institute is expected to offer courses in carpentry and joinery, construction, sewing, hairdressing, among others. Sudat Kai, UBC News.
Thank you, Sudat Kai. A kidney donor has rushed to the International Crimes Division of the High Court to seek for justice after the family of the kidney's recipient deliberately refused to fulfill their promise in compensation of property in exchange for his organ. Details in this report.
23-year-old Brian Arinaitwe lives a miserable life after donating his left kidney in promise of heaven and earth from the recipient's family. It is alleged that the family of the late Johnny Rwigambwa convinced Arinaitwe that he was to get part of their property if he donated his left kidney to their 64-year-old father, who had been battling with hypertension and diabetes for a period of 28 years. According to medical reports and documents, it is evident enough that Brian Arinaitwe donated his left kidney. However, even after a successful operation in India in 2016, Johnny Rwigambwa passed away. Unfortunately, the late Rwigambwa's widow, Ewan Miria Rwigambwa, withdrew all the promises and instead framed Arinaitwe for conniving with her stepchildren to kill her husband. Johnson Kyomugisha, one of the family members, says the family willingly made an agreement to give Arinaitwe part of their property in exchange for his donated kidney to the late Rwigambwa.
To donate a kidney to my dad, the promise was done. Now we are in court battling with our stepmother, thinking that we are fighting against her.
For 7 years, the late Rwigambwa's children have been seeking for justice on behalf of Arinaitwe, who they claim is being unlawfully denied of his share. The family has been following the matter before the International Crimes Division of the High Court, where their mother, Miria Rwigambwa, is battling charges of human trafficking and forgery. Prosecution at the Colorado-based court states that in 2014, and with the deceit, Miria Rwigambwa trafficked Arinaitwe to India and facilitated the removal of his left kidney. That Mrs. Rwigambwa further forged birth certificates and registration to the effect that she and her husband are the biological parents of Brian Arenaitwe were as not. However, presiding Judge Justice Susan Okalanyi has now directed that prosecution discloses all its intended evidence and witnesses to Mrs. Rugambwa's lawyers.
This is trafficking in person. We came for scheduling. The matter has been fixed for 7th December for scheduling and disclosure. Then thereafter the matter will be fixed for hearing.
Arenaitwe argues that at only 23 years, he was robbed of a livelihood, since with only one kid in, he has nothing much to do except fight for the 2 plots and part of Rugambwa's family arcade in Mbarara that were promised to him. Ivan Juko, Wycliffe Mudach, UBC News.
Thank you, Ivan Juko, for that report, and we hope that he gets justice. Vice President Major Retired Jessica Alupo has said that a decent home is an avenue towards ensuring a healthy environment for all the family members, regardless of the setting, whether rural or urban. Speaking as chief guest during the closure of the 4 days Virtual Homes and Construction Expo 2021 Danube Exhibition Center along Kuruma Road in Kampala, the Vice President said a decent home must take into consideration the safety of the occupants against heavy rains, strong winds and short circuits.
The Vice President, Major Retired Jessica Alupo, has said that a decent home is an avenue towards ensuring a healthy environment for all the family members, regardless of the setting, whether rural or urban. Speaking as chief guest during the closure of the 4 days Virtual Homes and Construction Expo 2021, the Danube Exhibition Center along Kuruma Road in Kampala, the Vice President said that a decent home must take into consideration the safety of the occupants against heavy rains, strong winds and short circuits.
Uganda needs an effective and efficient infrastructure to support our economic growth. Poverty eradication, social development and competition in the global market. As you very well know, no economy or a country can stand without proper infrastructure. And in my view here, we're talking about home infrastructure. The theme for this expo, new technologies and sustainable solutions in the homes and construction sector, is therefore pertinent to underscore the role of infrastructure in the national economy and its multiplier effect on improving social economic development.
The Vice President said the construction sector is a key avenue to collecting revenue and boosting economic growth, adding that the construction rate should match the population rate, which currently stands at 3% per annum, which is one of the highest in the world. She said that the government will continue to provide conducive policy and legal framework that will enable the private sector to play its role in the construction and infrastructure development. The Vice President prayed that the Construction Expo continues to offer to all stakeholders in the industry an opportunity to interact and get valuable information on current developments and trends in construction industry, and thanked all participants who have taken part in the expo.
Uganda in general and our government in particular have made big strides in infrastructure development due to a conducive environment and investor confidence. I strongly hope that the Home Construction Expo continues to offer all stakeholders in this industry opportunities to interact and get invaluable information on the current developments and trends in the construction industry. It is my conviction, therefore, that we are leaving this expo more enriched than when we came in.
The Chief Executive Officer of the Vision Group of Companies, Don Wanyama, said that his company prides itself in conducting journalism that advances society, as well as engage in activities that are critical to society, of which housing construction is among. He said that decent housing is basic human necessity, and said that decent housing is still a big concern in the country. Reporting for UBC TV News, Stephen Kanakulia, Sempa.
Now, the chairperson Parliamentary Committee on Gender, Flavia Kabahende, says government needs to start compelling all companies to start providing social protection services for their employees as a mandatory tool to be given operational license. According to Kabahende, this should be a strategy of bringing all Ugandans on board on social protection services and reducing the burden on government. Susan Nawanga reports.
It would be proper that we have a national scheme for people in the informal sector.
Uganda has different social protection schemes, including NSSF, SAGE, Disability Grant, National Health Scheme, among others, which all cover only a few sections of the population. The schemes in question pool risks against life cost contingencies, such as old age, work-related, unemployment, and sickness, among others.
So the social protection aspect seems to us as a new idea, when actually it should have continued from our traditional social protection interventions.
As a country, we still don't have a social protection strategy, so it is something that we need to do.
According to Patrick Mutabazi, there is a need to come up with a uniform scheme that brings all Ugandans on board. Government, through Ministry of Gender, is in the process of finalizing single entry registry that will help track all household vulnerability ratios to help streamline provision of social protection services.
For us to realize benefits of social protection, we need to have a comprehensive system that captures everybody, right from when somebody is in the womb, when they are born, up to the time they die. So that if there is any vulnerability that comes, it is detected by the system and support is extended.
Apparently, because of absence of a national social scheme, many people are living in risk of losing their jobs. Hence, the pressure to alter their age to suit in the available schemes.
Misuse your productive life or savings, for that matter, contributions at a young age. You are going to have many years of old age that are a little bit challenging. So, but that's the exact reason why 1,000 civil servants are trying to amend their age.
In the recent survey by UBC, 21% of Ugandans were still living under absolute poverty before COVID-19 hit the country, which situation worsened even after COVID.
Country, we need to care about social protection because we have commitments to make in the Constitution, in the Vision 2040, in the NDP, and other frameworks.
However, to narrow down this vulnerability gap and prevention of reoccurrence of such shocks, adoption of resilient means for survival would be the option. Susan Nawanga, reporting for UBC TV.
Moving on from that, the Archbishop of Church of Uganda, Dr. Stephen Kazimba Mugalu, has cautioned the laity not to involve themselves in actions of gender-based violence against girls, boys, women and men. Kazimba said that at the press conference held at the provincial offices in Namirembe, we're launching a boy-child campaign aimed at fighting for the rights of boys and men against gender-based violence.
And I hereby officially launch this campaign. And also launch the campaign for Boy Child today. In the name of God the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
As Uganda joins the world to commemorate the 16 days of activism of gender-based violence against the girl child and women, also boys and men shouldn't be excluded in fighting for their rights. On several occasions, the rights of the girl child and women against gender-based violence have been advocated for, ignoring the rights of the boys and men, which accounts for acts of criminalities among the two categories.
Because if our young men are vulnerable, anybody can use them to the best advantage of that person. And that's why the terrorists will pick on them. And if they do, me and you will suffer. We want to stand firmly and make sure that we ourselves, we are the first ground. We are the change agents. Because change starts with us, and then we transform society.
The Archbishop of the Church of Uganda, Dr. Samuel Kazimba Mugalu, says it's high time to advocate for the rights of the boy child as it is with the girls.
There are many, many boys and there are many, many men who suffer honorably. And because of culture, they just keep quiet and they die honorably. That's why we must begin with the boys to men, so that they can respect their daughters, their sisters, their mothers.
Although several initiatives have been put in place to address the issue of gender-based violence, including the laws, Archbishop Kazemba says the implementation is still wanting.
I appeal to all those in a position of authority to play their role and ensure the perpetrators of gender-based violence are brought to book and gender-based violence laws are effectively implemented. Because they are laws, which laws are very good for nothing because they are not implemented.
At the media conference, the Archbishop Mugalu cautioned the laity not to involve themselves in actions of gender-based violence.
If church leaders are found to be engaged in gender-based violence, we will discipline them and engage local law enforcement authorities. Even church leaders will not be spared once they misbehave.
In celebrating the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence, the Church of Uganda has organized a retreat for a boy child, which will be held at Mengo Senior Secondary School from the 1st to the 4th of December. Nantong Rebecca, Namamonte Deborah, UBC News.
State Minister for Local Government, Victoria Businge Rusoke, has ordered for the suspension of Ntungamo District Engineer and Education Officer and other district officials on the run involved in the shoddy construction works of Kategaya Memorial Institute. But moving on from that, government has been urged to review the status of Uganda's forest resources because the National Forestry Policy talks of maintaining a permanent forest estate. The appeal was made at the press conference held by forest advocates at Ecological Christian Organization in Kampala following an increase on encroachment of gazetted forest reserves and depletion of forests.
The National Forestry Policy and Act gives roles and responsibilities to National Forestry Authority, Uganda Wildlife Authority, among others, to manage resources within their mandate. Gasta Chiyingi from Forest Working Group says the policy talks of maintaining a permanent forest estate which is dwindling day by day.
There are gaps in regulation of the private forest sector. There are gaps in charcoal production and trade. There are gaps in timber trade. There are gaps in benefit sharing. There are gaps in carbon trade and law. And these gaps are even at the lower levels. And we are proposing that they are addressed in the ordinances and bylaws, which are non-existent.
Gasta Chiyingi says the policy addresses forestry in a wider economy in Uganda, but its contribution to the economy is wanting. He says the wood industry is designed to be improved from pre-industrial to modern industries, but this is frustrated by low-level forest produce and primary producers.
Forestry governance, I mean the principles, where we talk of sector, stakeholder engagement, grievances, redress mechanisms, social and environmental safeguards need to be included in this policy. As we speak, they are loosely talked about, but we would want them to be emphatical in the policy.
Chiyingi singled out corruption in the enforcement of the laws as a hurdle that is biting at the very core of society, which has led to governance challenges. He recommended for forest certification and valuation of Uganda's forest estate to enhance sustainable forest management.
There are gaps in regulation of the private forest sector. There are gaps in charcoal production and trade. There are gaps in timber trade. There are gaps in benefit sharing. There are gaps in carbon trade and law. And these gaps are even at the lower levels. And we are proposing that they are addressed in the ordinances and bylaws, which are non-existent. The forest sector needs to review the institutional framework to enhance coordination, to enhance collaboration. Currently, you will find clashes of NFS staff versus district forest services.
All forest training institutions are mandated by law to offer relevant courses aimed at protecting Uganda's forest cover. Sudat Kai, UBC News.
Uganda Cancer Institute has received a 150-seater shelter for patients, staff and management whose construction was implemented with support from DFC Bank to a tune of 80 million Ugandan shillings. While commissioning the facility, State Minister for Health in charge of primary health care, Margaret Kyomugisha, said government wants to position Uganda Cancer Institute as a medical tourism destination, however still needs to build capacity. Farida Namfuka has this report in detail.
The number of new cases of cancer patients are on the rise, and this has piled immense pressure on the infrastructure facilities that the Uganda Cancer Institute received when it got the status of being self-accounting. The institute currently registers over 600 new cases annually, and those existing and surviving with the disease live a chronic lifestyle. However, several infrastructure projects are being worked on to improve on the working and patients' environment to ensure quality of their service. Although government is establishing regional centers to help patients access services easily, some that come from upcountry and require treatment for radiotherapy stay at Mulago for almost a month, which becomes costly on the institute, hence calling for government intervention.
In the radiotherapy unit, and most of those patients are prescribed 30 days of care. And these 30 days, they enter the machine maybe for 15 minutes, and for the rest of the day, they are outside, they have to feed, they have to sleep, they have to also be comfortable. And these are areas that need funding. Patients also have financial needs because they cannot keep going back to where they come from every day because the transport is very costly. Most of them decide to stay around, and this poses a big challenge for their health, for the security, and yet they cannot abandon treatment.
To address some of these challenges, Uganda Cancer Institute has partnered with DFCU Bank to construct a shelter for patients. Facility has the capacity to accommodate 60 in line with COVID-19 set standard operating procedures. DFCU targets to transform lives through providing the much needed support.
That does not segregate who will fall ill. It's something that we all have to come together to support government and support autonomous institutions like the institute here to be able to provide. What that we are handing over today may not lessen the burden and the pain of suffering from a cancer patient, but it will make it possible for patients and their caregivers to have a decent and safe place to rest in a secure environment during treatment.
We'll do a lot to help patients cope with the treatment and remain on track for treatment.
While commissioning the facility, State Minister for Health in charge of primary health care, Margaret Kyomugisha, said government has significantly increased budget allocations for cancer services.
Statistics are available that there are 6,000 patients that visit these facilities, both young and old. And the survival rate is 20% and below, meaning most of them don't survive. And if we up our game with more equipment, and if we can fight in cabinet and parliament and get more resources for this institute.
It is currently in use by the patients. I'm Nafka Farida in Mulago.
It's Freaky Friday from Airtel. Buy or gift. Buy or give.
Get freaky too!
go! Dial *149*10# to load a Freaky Friday bundle for you to enjoy the best offers on voice and data.
To buy a bundle for friends and family, dial *149*10*5#. Freaky Friday with Airtel. Buy or gift a bundle today. Dial *149*10# to get started. Airtel, the smartphone network.
Raising voices.
As a community member, I think we need to change in the way we act in response to violence against children. In my small way, I can be a leader in preventing violence in my community. I promise to work with my neighbor to create violence-free homes and communities for our children.
In this time of COVID, what is your promise to the children of Uganda? Because a violence-free childhood is everyone's right. Raising voices.
Guletede MTN Kabode. Esimu ya smart gyosobola okwefunira olwo n'ogisasula mpola. Nkugambye yeneerye ya kabi ate nga tamanyi endala zonna mu katale. Ejjirako omuggo gwa yintaneti. Kati ky'oba okola gwenyiga *655*2# okebere oba osobola okwefunira MTN Kabode. Olumala okebera bw'oti dduka buddusi ku dduuka lya MTN lyonna eri kuli okumpi weefunire MTN Kabode. Olwo olyoka ogisasule mpola ng'osasula nnusu 15,000 zokka buli wiiki okumala emyezi 6 ng'okozesa MTN Momo. Weefunire Kabode kati. Dish.
Everywhere you go, MTN.
You're still watching UBC News Tonight. Government has set regulations of preference and reservation schemes to uplift women and youth recover from the post-COVID-19 effects through Uganda Women Entrepreneurs Limited. This comes at a time when women are celebrating the annual Women in Business Leaders Conference to reflect on the impacts of the pandemic on business and procurement. Shaidat Nasaku with the report.
The month of November was dedicated to women in entrepreneurship. However, as the month draws to an end, women have showcased different opportunities to attract financing from funders in the post-COVID-19. In the fight to contain poverty among women and youths, government, through the amendment of the PPDA Act, has allocated 30% of the budget to the marginalized groups to uplift their standards of living.
But 30% of the budget should be allocated to those groups. The categories of groups that involve the women, the youth and the disabled. Up with the regulations on preference and reservation schemes, and highlighting exactly the percentage of contracts that are reserved for the women, the youth and the disabled.
In a bid to combat poverty, more than 100 women have been trained.
And we have regulations on preference and reservation schemes, which also specifically emphasize the percentage of contracts should be allocated to the youth, women and disadvantaged groups and disabled. Guidelines on reservation schemes promote local content. However, there was no specific provision for the women.
To ease the accessibility of funds for women in small medium enterprises, the Uganda Development Bank has revised the loan requirements.
Our women, to date, about 150 have already placed in their application, and they are willing to work with us to impact about 2.5 million women in this country. So many businesses that now, when it is financed, they are able to pay back, because by the way, women are very good at paying back loans. So when this is done, it's going to really help them beef up their businesses and be able to grow them.
Despite the challenges associated with the COVID-19 pandemic, many female entrepreneurs resorted to digital means of transacting businesses to ease the distribution and supply of their products through a phrase. The month of women entrepreneurs was conducted under the theme Against All Odds for the Women. Shaidat Nasaku, UBC News.
Still in business, beneficiaries from a scaling project initiated by the Presidential Advisor, Karo Okurut Foundation in Busheni are grateful to President Yoweri Museveni for such projects. Details in this report.
In 2018, President Yoweri Museveni graced the graduation ceremony of more than 800 Ugandans under the Scaling Project in Bushenyi. A few years on, the beneficiaries from the Scaling Project are sprouting and providing living examples of how skilling is the way to go.
Now they can at least earn a living, they can do their things. Some are now married, they can cater for their families. Some are still single, but still they can look after themselves.
At the graduation ceremony, President Yoweri Museveni pledged a startup capital of 1 million Uganda shillings, which has been received by 400 of the 800 and utilized optimally.
President Museveni kuyizera kuni akutayira mweji weno washomere yamuhereza miliyoni emwe ejo nkaguraho icyarani cyanje natandika kwekorera byanje.
That million shilling, it is the one we used to buy these clothes, threads, and what have you. Even some members of this, after being trained, some got that million.
The project is under the tutorship of Presidential Advisor Mary Karoro Okrut.
We have school dropouts. All those, many of them are unemployed. So of course I knew that giving them skills, practical skills, would make them self-employed.
The beneficiaries that trained at the Bushenyi playground are armed with tailoring, saloon and hairdressing, carpentry skills, among others. The initial 800 trained have ably passed on knowledge to younger girls during this lockdown, like manufacturing of pads, and thus reducing teenage problems like pregnancy.
It's Freaky Friday from Airtel. Buy or gift. Buy or give.
Get freaky too! Dial star 149 star 10 hash to load a Freaky Friday bundle for you to enjoy the best offers on voice and data.
To buy a bundle for friends and family, dial star 149 star 10 star 5 hash. Freaky Friday with Airtel. Buy or gift a bundle today. Dial star 149 star 10 hash to get started. Airtel, the smartphone network.
It's the festive season and we love it. And that means it's time to celebrate with GoTV.
Come with me.
So get your GoCoder and GoTV value for 25,000 shillings to watch with the whole family. And if you're feeling extra festive, upgrade to our best package yet, GoTV Super.
Something to look forward to.
Download the My GoTV app for more information.
Super.
We all deserve a super festive season. And with GoTV, there's every reason to love it.
Guletedde MTN Kabode esimu ya smart gy'osobola okwefunira olwo n'ogisasula mpola nkugambye yene eri eya kabi ate nga tamanyi endala zonna mu katale ejjirako omuggo gwa yintaneti kati ky'oba okola gwenyiga *65*5*2# okebere oba osobola okwefunira MTN Kabode olumala okebera bw'oti dduka buddusi ku dduuka lya MTN lyonna eri kuli okumpi weefunire MTN Kabode olwo olyoka ogisasule mpola ng'osasula nnusu 15,000 zokka buli wiiki okumala emyezi 6 ng'okozesa MTN Momo weefunire Kabode kati dish.
Everywhere you go, MTN.
Thank you so much for still watching UBC News Tonight. And as sports stories, Uganda Swimming Federation's 2021 National Championship is underway at the Green Hill Academy pool in Kampala. The 3-day championship has attracted participation from 20 clubs with more than 300 swimmers in action.
After close to 2 years of limited activity, Uganda Swimming Federation is hosting its National Swimming Championship at Green Hill Academy in Kampala. The 3-day championship has attracted more than 300 swimmers from about 20 clubs. Already, several records have been broken by youngsters like John Kafumbe, whose 800 meters display wasn't for the faint-hearted.
this race, the 800 free, was really, it took time for me to plan. We were working hard with my coach to master what we needed to do to achieve the time we achieved. And it means a lot because now I know I've taken another step further in the career and I've become better, which shows that like every time I work hard, I'll improve.
Uganda Swimming Federation President Moses Mwase is impressed and expects a formidable team at the Kana Zone 3 Championships that Uganda hosts next month.
We're also preparing for the 6th Kana Zone 3 Championships, which will take place here in Kampala from the 9th of December to the 12th. And so when we see that our swimmers are breaking new records and having new personal bests, it gives us a lot of encouragement. It shows that they will do very well when it comes to the regional championship.
Others that have excelled on day one include Abigail Mwagale, Gerard Masiko, Paula Ndabukera and Sadoke Gundu. John Barnes, Sentamo, reporting.
Well, that's all we had for you today. Thank you so much for watching UBC News Tonight with me, Sharon Kyomugisha and Mugalu Muhammad on Sign Language. From the team and I, have a lovely night and stay tuned for more programming coming your way. Good night.
This weekend on UBC.
They say talent is 1% of your life success. Of course, not when you're young, talented and incredible, like the beautiful and sensational Lena K.
Times in the lives we all have been. Hello everyone, hello people at home. My name is Lena Kagure and today we have a nice famous TV show called Chilling. You should chill. That means you should get your popcorn and sit and watch it. This morning with a smile on my face, the sun shining bright, the sky is so blue, the air is so fresh, such a feeling I can't explain.
You started to sing at the age of 5. This is incredible. Is that true?
Yes.
This weekend on UBC.
Echama, twasize echama, nakufuna ngalonza kavangata, bintu bya mutima nze samanya, nagezako dabyalema, nanjagala manye, kubyanika, omukwenda kawowo, mama kokolotya, nebosibe kumbe.
Omukwano Shamira, nkuteekako empete eno nga mu butuufu kano ke kabonero akalaga nti omuntu yenna agira nti ekiwala ekirina amaaso wanika buwanisinga leeno ekyo kyo kiba kimala okulaga nti kano akabonero akalaga nti nkusibiddaawo paka nga ndeese empeta eya kyaki gwewanika buwanisirugala ebirala oli aba akitegeera butegeezi.
This week